Bill here with Maple Leaf Enterprises with your DBA tip of the day. This literally just happened about an hour ago. The flash recovery area, which is the space used to hold, archive, redo logs, flashback logs, image copies, backups, went to 98%. And none of the monitoring in place caught it. But what did catch it was a little handy dandy trick that I usually use, especially for very important databases that it's critical that they stay up, and also very active databases that generate a lot of redo logs. So for these types of databases, what I usually do is I actually monitor or set up my own little script that runs in cron, and it usually runs about every 15 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how active. If it's really active database, I'll run it every 15 minutes. If it's not so active, I'll run it every 30, even sometimes every hour, right? But I'll try to do it based on that day. This particular database has it set up to run every 30 minutes. But here's your $V flash recovery area usage DBA view. That is kind of a snapshot into what's being used from your flash recovery area. Comes in handy too if you use an ASM as well. And again, you know, I wouldn't use this as the gospel, but it is reference, right? And this is the type of report that you would pump out, and you can actually write the simplest script. It could literally be a select star. It could be all this information, dump it to a file, and then just have it emailed out to you. And you could even put logic in the script itself that says, you know, if such and such, and grep out one of these lines, if such and such is greater than 90, which is how I have it set up, send an email. Otherwise, end it, right? Otherwise end, just if simple if then else logic in a script, and have that run. And I'm telling you, it saved me today because Nagios, we use Nagios for this particular client, and Nagios did not catch it. Now, whether or not Nagios would have eventually caught it, I don't know. I mean, I know the Nagios cycle they have, ping cycle is either 30 minutes or an hour. I'm really not sure. I'm not really exposed to that. That's more the data center actually does that. So anyway, it was my script that caught it. So I was able to go in, clean it up, and avoid an issue, because if that would have went to 100%, we all know what happens, right? All kinds of alerts start flying. And in this particular case, this particular database, it would have been a disaster, because not only would this primary database have filled up, it's in a rack cluster. So would have both databases basically unable to be used. And then not only that, this rack cluster goes to a data guard. So then the data guard would have blew up, and the data guard is used for reporting. They use active data guard, right? So you just see the ballooning effect. You see how this thing has tentacles, that it could have been ultimately really disastrous. Not a disaster, but a disastrous event where there would have been downtime, customer would have gotten mad, and then all the other ancillary actions would have taken place after that, and then you get management asking, why did it go down? How come monitoring didn't catch it? How do we keep this from happening again? Blah, 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 blah. And it goes all the way up the food chain. And then all of a sudden, my whole week next week would have been, explaining why Nagios didn't catch an alert. And I don't know why Nagios, because I'm not in control of Nagios, but I do know that my script did catch it. So here's, again, the tip of the day is, look, you have a critical database, monitor this yourself. You know, it's nice to have the other levels of monitoring. I mean, even grid control, if you have grid control as well, just something like this is best if you just have a simple script. And there's a number of things, and actually probably do another video up and above that. There's probably about 5 or 6 things that I recommend that you monitor yourself outside of any monitoring tools with simple email type of thing, where even if it's a report that it sends to you every day, where you just kind of glance at it. And I'm not talking about doing this for every single database, because you probably go out of your mind if that was the case looking through reports. I'm talking about this is like the mission critical, the database of the company. You know, and there's always 1 or 2 or 5, whatever. You know, there's always a group of databases that are they're the crap, man. They're the SHIT, so to speak. They're it. And if they have a problem, you know, everybody in the company is affected, and it's a fire drill. So, you know, that is the tip of the day. Just monitor this yourself. Again, you can put together a real easy, straightforward script. And you know, if you go into My Oracle Support, and again, I tell people this all the time, I do not plagiarize everything. I do not claim that I am this know-it-all DBA. What I will claim that, you know what, if there's information on something that's already written, I will find it. And I have found that 95 to 98% of everything written about Oracle has already been written about Oracle, and everybody else is just a copycat. So anyway, go into My Oracle Support, just put in $V Flash Recovery Area, and you're going to get more articles than you probably care to know. And it's always good practice to just go through and just read through some of the things, because, you know, look, here's a bug. There's a known bug with it. Here's something else. It's not being updated, right? So these things kind of come across that, you know, that these are some of the known problems, which are good to know, and then it kind of just refreshes your memory a little bit, and then you kind of go into the community and see what some of the other people have said about it. You may even find someone who has a script already written that shared it with you, and then their documentation. You can actually go and get the actual documentation, the white paper of that particular item. And then you can actually go ahead and, you know, beef yourself up a little bit on that particular part of Oracle. Right? Because we can't all remember everything all the time. The best thing I always tell everyone is, don't remember everything. Remember how to and where to get things. Because there's so much happens, and there's so many things that go on in this business. And it's an amazing thing, and I explain it to people all the time, that this business really is nothing more than you're just a resource that gets pushed with the tide, right? There's times when the tide it's all about security. It's all about security. So you're going through and all you're doing is security, and that's all you're focused on. And so then you wind up reading and learning, and then everything you do at that point is all about security. So you know everything. So if somebody asked you a question about security, God, you'd be able to answer the next 16 questions they asked you about it, because you just know it. And the same thing with DataGuard. It's like, all right, DataGuard, disaster recovery, you know. And then same thing with Golden Gate or replication, or same thing with like performance tuning. If you have a performance tuning issue that's kind of consuming the whole company, well, guess what? That's all you're doing day in and day out. So you're using SQL T, you're using this, you're using that, you know, you're using Toad, you're bringing in third-party products, you're running StatsPack, you're running AWR reports until your hands bleed, you're running them every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, you're running active session history, right? And then somebody asks you a performance problem, and it has something to do with, like, let's say it has something to do with like local versus global indexes on a partition table, you know, and you've been doing that for 3 months. Well, you know, again, somebody asks you a question about that, and you're just like bang, 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 and you know exactly. But then somebody comes and says and asks you something about security, and then you're like, well, gee, security. Wow, I didn't focus on that. It's like 8 months ago we were doing that. But I don't remember all that stuff, because I wasn't doing it day in and day out for the last time. But I do remember where I found the documentation, right? So then you can go back, and again, that's what I always tell people all the time. Don't try and remember everything because your head will explode. But always remember where you got something, right? And Oracle has a great way of like, you just flag this little thing right here and you just put it in your favorites. And then it comes up and you go into your dashboard. It will come up in recently viewed or in your favorites. Okay? And you'll have it and you'll know where it is. You can even search on it. Then if you want to, one other way, which I use this clip feature for OneNote. And I clip the article and I push it into OneNote. And OneNote's free if you do the online version. And you can clip these things right into OneNote and organize them however you want to. Or you just cut and paste them into a document. But anyway, I always tell people that's really important. Don't necessarily remember everything. Remember where you put documentation or references to stuff that you learned, because right now I'm looking at Flash recovery and I'm looking at all the different bugs that can possibly happen with Flash recovery, and I'll probably be working on this for the next few days, and I'll be an expert in Flash recovery again, because it'll force me to go and review everything once again that I haven't probably looked at for 8 months since the last time this probably happened. And then by Wednesday or Thursday, I'll probably forget about this because something new will come up. The new thing now seems to be cloud, which makes me roll my eyes. But anyway, it seems to be cloud, and everything is about security now, right? Because this Equifax breach. So all that's been coming down the pipe is security, 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 security. So that's probably going to be the focus for the next probably 6 months to a year. All right. So anyway, I know this was kind of a long-winded tip of the day, but it was kind of a few tips, right? $V Flash recovery area, scripts for that, monitoring that, and then information, right? Where did I get the information on it, and then saving that information for future reference, because we all can't remember everything. So again, that's your tip of the day. Hope this helps. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.